This is the first animated film I made, starting when I was about 7. I apologize for the titles. It says You Can Do It, Charlie Brown by Dave Hardenbrook. My titles were none too good for the most part. As usual, Snoopy's very insistent on being fed. And fed, and fed, and fed. I guess you can call this a crossover, because I don't know how else Donald Duck got into it. Yeah, this is me about third or fourth grade, I think. I think I'm doing here some kind of takeoff on This Is Your Life with Snoopy. That's a Phoenix book I'm holding. And here he is, Snoopy. This is a kite flying scene. I am probably you probably have Lucy riding along on the kite, which especially if it's Charlie Brown's kite would seem to be especially dangerous. I think this bit is actually the first I ever filmed about getting ready for the baseball game. This was actually my dad's idea to tie a string to Woodstock so that he could fly and then land on Charlie Brown's nose. And here's the baseball game. On PBS, they used to have these animated shorts in between programs of that were animations of classic chess games, and that was kind of what I was simulating here. This being my own thing, and I can do anything I want to. Of course, I have Charlie Brown win. I was always fascinated by animation. When I was a kid, we used to check out 8mm and 16mm Disney films from the library, and I used to like to look at the film and examine each individual frame. And then when Mr. Rogers had a couple of segments on his show about how animated movies are made, I became hooked and a lifelong hobby was born. This film was my first endeavor, using my dolls of the Peanuts characters to create puppet animations in the style of those Rankin-Bass Christmas specials. I used my parents' Super 8mm movie camera to film it, but the problem was that I didn't have the ability to shoot single frames at a time, and single frame capability is something you really need for animation. My workaround was that for each frame I punched the camera button and instantaneously released it. That method worked passively, but as you can see, that how no matter how quickly I did it, it always took 3 or 4 frames at a time, and that's why the motion is jerkier than I would have liked. Although I think I did get better at it over time. Also, these Peanut dolls were not always cooperative in how they posed, and so that also adds to the jerkiness. My later 2D animations were a little better, not quite as jerky as this one is. Years later, I actually did finally acquire a camera with single frame capability when I was in France actually. But ironically, it was just shortly after that I graduated to computer animation, and so I never actually really made use of it. Anyway, this Peanuts film was put together from 3 segments, I think, that I made when I was in second and third grade. after I made the first couple, I wanted to show so much to show them to my third grade class, but the teacher, who was by all accounts the Muggle version of Snape, wouldn't hear of it. It was only one day when we had a substitute teacher that I was finally able to show it. Home run! Charles Schulz once remarked that he was kind of spooked out by the fact that every time a child played with a peanut stall or a stuffed toy, it was like his own characters were off doing things that he had no control over. I guess seeing this film would have made him feel even more so. The end.